Spencer Lewis here for Inside Track. We're talking with the driver of the number 71 Ontario here at the ACT International 500. Old School Dan McHattie, the most winningest driver in Kawartha Speedway history. Dan, we haven't got to speak much with you this season. It's great to see you. The car looks phenomenal. First off, let's start. Tell me a little bit about Airborne Speedway and the International 500 where we are today.
First of all, this track itself is a pretty great little track. You can tell it's a little older asphalt, but you know what? It's a racy little track. They call it a half mile. It's a tick smaller than a half, flat, but very racy. 2 grooves, and even I prefer the outside around here, which is pretty different for a flat track. But it's a great little track, and it's pretty neat. And being a part of the International 500. It's basically the same as going to the Oxford 250. I think in a few years, with what the money is being thrown at this race and everything, it will maybe surpass that. Maybe not in prestige, but certainly, you know, driver-wise, there's tons of great talent here, and it's tough. It's tough to even be in the top 40 amongst what's here. So.
Now, we were speaking off camera, and you mentioned that one word to describe Airborne Speedway would be unique. So I got to ask it, does it drive like anything you've experienced, both in Ontario or maybe abroad? Is it like anywhere you've been yet?
Certainly not like the main tracks in Ontario. If I had to maybe say, it would maybe be close to Cayuga. I always found Cayuga, and this place especially, a lot of side force. You really get out of the car, out of the race, and your whole side sore from being up against the seat. And the car you're fighting the whole day. You're really fighting to get the car to stick and not just skip out sideways. Compared to like a Kawartha or Peterborough or something like that, or a Sunset where there's more banking to catch you, it certainly doesn't have that here.
Now, when you walk through the pit area of events like this and you speak to guys that aren't regulars on the tour, nerves are a word that you hear a lot, and just being on a big stage like this. You're a veteran of the ACT Invitational at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Does that sort of help quell the nerves a little bit that you've raced in a big event, on a big stage against some of these big name competitors?
Yeah, certainly not nervous here. I think I'm more nervous about doing poorly than it is running against anyone here. Everyone's always shown me a lot of respect. We've made a lot of good friends with running with some of the guys in the ACT series. Had a great relationship with Rick Paya, who was Brian Hoare's car owner, Brian Hoare himself, and a bunch of other guys have always been great with me. I think that we've shown that we can race alongside them and not be a weapon, as to say, out there with them. We've raced hard with all of them, and I think, yeah, it's like anything, any kind of sport, you know, once you earn a little respect, they treat you a little differently. And as far as the ACT series themselves, I would want nothing more to see the tour come to Ontario, because the people that manage the tour, run the tour, or even work on it, treat you like you've showed up to every single event they've ever had. They treat you like gold, and it's great to see, especially this day and age when you know, you can't be selfish. You can't say, you know what, if you're not going to show up, I don't care. There's not enough cars out there these days, and there's not enough tracks or really racing to go around in general. So like I say, they treat you very well. We show up for 1 or 2 of these events, and it's like we've been here all along.
Now, anytime you're at a large-scale event like this, you know, $120,000 in total purse money, $25,000 to win, there's a certain energy about it, and the excitement levels are high. Are you able to compare the atmosphere that you've experienced the last couple of days to anything you get back home in Ontario?
No, you know what? Yes and no. I think everyone knows, and I'm not going to sit here and feed you a line. Like, I think you know the top 10 or so guys or even 5 guys that are really going to walk away with the money here, and the rest of the guys aren't. But it doesn't matter whether you're at Peterborough Speedway, we're driving a mini stock, you're there to race to win. It doesn't matter whether it's 25 grand or 25 bucks to win. Everyone wants to win. So I think atmosphere-wise, I don't know if it's really all that different.
Now, this chassis that you've been wheeling through the first half of 2013 is a new creation. Tell me a little bit about the new car, because this is the first time we've had you on camera since you rolled this car out of the hauler for the first time back in the spring.
You know what? It's a nice piece. I'm very proud of it. I've been building my own cars since I was 15. It's a progression. You take your last car and you think you can do something better. It's certainly a nice car. We've taken this year in the fact that we're not running for points anywhere. We never could try the things you wanted to try, because you always had to be competitive enough to keep up in points at a track. This year we've thrown everything at it that we've always wanted to try. I haven't yet run a regular setup that I normally do, And we've suffered a bit. We've run poorly at a couple tracks, but we run well. We ran really well here earlier this year. We came back with something different. I wish I hadn't have, but I don't have time to switch it back. So it is what it is. We'll make do and we'll adjust on it and learn. And you can never get ahead. And the fact that I'm trying to help some of the other guys that run some of my cars, I don't expect them to run something I haven't tried or proven myself, so you got to try that stuff and try and make things better.
I know you've had various one-off appearances at Airborne Speedway already this season, a handful of them, and have those been largely experimental runs, trying different things to see what works with this new chassis?
Definitely. I don't think I've shown up to any track this year with the same front control arm or a shock or a spring in the car, so you know, it's purely experimental. You really don't want to show up at a track like this for a race like this and be trying stuff, but it is what it is. And like I said, Airborne's kind of a unique little track itself. Nothing that works here works anywhere else. We went to Peterborough and tested last week. The car was phenomenal, and came here and it wasn't great at all. So you know, we changed a bunch of stuff and we've gotten competitive. You're talking at a field of 50 cars that really, you know, 0.2 of a second spreads the whole field. So you could be 10th, you could be 30th, and it's all the same.
Now we're only midway through the season here. What's the rest of the 2013 schedule looking like?
Nothing too drastic. This will probably be the last big show we run. We're going to run a few events here and there. Time-wise and work-wise, time for racing is getting smaller and smaller all the time. We would like to sell this car at the end of the year and work on something different for next year. So, you know, I think we're going to run it here and there. I think we'll be at Mossport for the last night, providing everything goes well here tonight, just to show our support of a track that, you know, a group and a track that supported racing in Ontario for a number of years, and go for the last night and say goodbye, I guess. And then a few shows at Peterborough, and then that'll probably be it.
Now, if you were to sell this car at the end of the year and look to something new in 2014, would you look once more to the ACT spec type car, or would you be looking at building something entirely different?
It's a tough question. I'm really hoping that, and speaking with a few guys around Ontario, I think that eventually, you know, late model racing in Ontario, be it limited late or not, are going to progress to the style of car. Being that a strut coil-over car, when it comes all right down to it, the tires all got to bolt to something and they all bolt to steel. It's a lot more functionable, a lot cheaper. A lot of these fancy Camaro lower control arms now are, guys don't realize it, but the top guys are spending $450, $500 on a lower control arm, when a strut car or lower control arm costs $30. A lot easier to work on. I think eventually, and I'm hoping that that's the way it swings the next 5 years in Ontario. So I would hate to get away from that. And then if you do have that style of car, you have the option to come and do this. It's 5 hours away from home, and like I said, it's great to be part of it. You know, we consider the legacy of the greats like Junior Hanley and Dave Dion, LePage, all those guys, and including the guys that are running it now, like the Pearl and Healywell and Hoare and those guys. Just to be part of it is fantastic.
Is there anyone in particular you'd like to thank for getting you here this weekend?
Certainly all the sponsors, J.J. Stewart Chrysler, Uniglass Plus Seabart, Douglas Automotive, Saudi Auto Supply, Bear McLennan Masonry, everybody. My mom and dad helped me out a ton. My wife gives up a lot of her time for me to race. And the guys we brought here to the track, my dad, Colin Winslow, Graham, I think he's on the national touring circuit for all racing, but he spent some time with us this weekend. And a lot of friends that came here to help and support. It's great that they can enjoy this too.
Dan, thanks so much for taking the time. Best luck the rest of the way through the season, and especially best luck here at the International 500.
Thank you.
There you have, folks, driver the number 71 Ontario. It's Old School Dan McHattie.